is 6 o'clock, so we will go ahead and call this meeting of the Greensburg City Council to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilman Reeves is absent this evening, but we have a quorum and we'll proceed with business tonight. And first up is approval of tonight's agenda. Any council member have any questions on the agenda as presented or any additions to it?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. Citizen comments. Light audience even for us. Hearing no citizen comments, we'll move on to our consent agenda, which includes the minutes of our December 16th meeting and appropriations ordinance 1283.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda approved. All right, moving on to items of business, mostly a lot of first of the year housekeeping stuff we do every year. First up is actually to suspend the city council meeting and convene as the Greensburg Land Bank and hold the Land Bank's annual meeting.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know if there was more.
Nope, just, yeah, Land Bank board is now in session and ready to have our annual meeting.
You'll see in your packet, in 2024, we sold 2 properties out of the Land Bank, 320 South Olive and 504 East Wisconsin. 1 property, 409 South Main, was accepted into the Land Bank and then donated to Cuyahoga County Economic Development for child care development. There are currently 6 properties in the Land Bank with 2 available for purchase, and I've included the map of those 2 that are available. The other 4 are across the street here on the Main Street frontage and Starlight Park. We have those in the Land Bank, but we do not have them available for purchase. That's pretty much an overview for the annual meeting of the activity for 2024.
Land Bank board, any questions on activity in the 2024 calendar year?
We could just get rid of them other 2. They're pretty much out, except for these 4.
Right.
Any other business for the Land Bank board?
Not that I have.
Well, hearing no further business for the Land Bank, we will adjourn the annual meeting. And the city council meeting will stay paused as our next item of business is our PVC annual meeting. So we will convene as the Public Building Commission and hold our annual meeting, which does have an agenda. And begin with roll call. Again, all members are present save for Councilwoman Reeves. And next up, we need to approve the minutes of our previous annual meeting held on January 2nd, 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the 2024 annual PBC meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Next up, communications. Are there any communications to report? Hearing none, we do have a report, looks like, on big well payments. Stacy?
You'll see that included in your packet. Payments on the bond were $54,119 in 2024. And then you'll see on that next page the revenues brought in on the sales tax for the big well to pay for that. And it was budgeted $80,000, but revenues exceeded that by quite a bit at $101,000. So definitely a good year as far as sales tax revenues coming in to be able to make those bond payments.
PBC, any questions on the payments or revenues for the Big Well bond? All right, hearing none. Moving on to unfinished business. That's blank. I don't think we have any unfinished
have any.
business. So we will move on to new business, and as always, the only thing in new business is to elect officers for the coming calendar year. Just a reminder, currently president is myself, the vice president is Pam, and the secretary is Haley. So any volunteers?
I'm satisfied with status quo.
I'm fine with it. Haley, you're good with it? Pam's not here to object, so.
Well, she's president.
Well, would that be in the form of a motion, Mark?
No.
No? Oh,
I just leave it the way it is.
okay. Well, we would need that in a motion if we
I
want
would
to.
make the motion that we leave it, all officers in place.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to keep the existing officers for an additional one-year term. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And that brings us to the end of the PBC annual meeting agenda. Barring any final business, doesn't sound like we have any, we will adjourn that meeting and resume the meeting of the Greensburg City Council. And we'll move on to item business number 3. Again, an annual housekeeping item, just an annual gap waiver for the 2025 calendar year.
This is, takes the form of Resolution 2025-01 that adopts the gap waiver requirements to use cash basis accounting for our 2024 books. So.
Council, any questions? If none, just the motion would be to approve resolution 2025-01.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-01, our annual gap waiver for the 2024 fiscal year. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 2025-01 approved. All right, moving on to our final item of business. That's just to consider our end-of-year transfers, some of which we have budgeted and others we might want to consider from our 2024 operating funds.
We discussed this a little at the last meeting, and I provided you a list last time of what our annual budgeted transfers are that we've completed. But I mentioned that we may consider doing a few other transfers for unexpended funds for 2024. And so I have listed those out. I would recommend $30,000 was budgeted in the street department for a street preservation project in 2024, and that was not completed, but yet I would recommend transferring those funds into the capital improvement infrastructure fund. That way we'll have those available for 2025 for a street project. As we've talked about, every year when we've done a street project, they're very expensive and only getting more so. And so if we can hold that money over, it would help us out. The cash balance of the general fund has gone down in the last couple of years. I mentioned at the last meeting as well. And primarily this last year, that's due to decreased fine revenues. And so we already have done a $50,000 transfer from electric to general. Previously, we have not been doing those transfers to build back the electric fund cash balance, but it is in a healthier position now, and so I would recommend doing an additional transfer from electric to general to help the general fund a little bit there. And I've given you what water, sewer, electric, general fund, and the infrastructure fund, what was budgeted, what we've expended, what's remaining, and then cash balances at the end of 23, and then the current cash balance. Just for your input there. On the water, I'm not recommending a transfer. We are pretty close on what was expended for the year versus what was budgeted, so I'm not recommending. I just wanted you to be able to look at that because I had mentioned the water fund at the last meeting, but we're not in a place that I would recommend a transfer. But I have listed out there, I would recommend transferring $8,000 from sewer to sewer reserve, 100,000 from electric to general, and then the 30,000 I mentioned from street to the city tax infrastructure fund to hold that for a 2025 street project.
Council, any questions on proposed transfers? I think they make sense.
I'm glad we have the finances to transfer.
Yeah, save some for a rainy day, yeah. Council, if there's no questions or discussion on those transfers, I would entertain a motion to approve the recommended transfers, 8,000 to sewer, from sewer to sewer reserve, 100,000 from electric to general fund, and 30,000 from the street fund to the city tax infrastructure fund.
Make that motion as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those transfers as recommended. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, that concludes our items of business tonight. So we will move on to city staff reports. Stacy?
The last 2 days with the snowstorm we've had over the weekend, our crew was out moving snow to clear the streets. The airport water and septic project is out for bid again. That's been advertised with a February 11th at 11 a.m. bid opening. I have talked with Lochner, and they worked with their team to do some cost-saving measures, but also talk to some contractors that are interested in bidding it, and I think we'll have a much more favorable outcome than we did the last time when we first went out to bid, and it came in pretty high. So I'm looking forward to see how that turns out. We've made the employee health benefit transition and had our open enrollment before Christmas. I'd really like to give kudos to Christy, who has had to deal with two challenging payrolls on those transitions. So it's been a lot to work through, but we're getting there. I'll be participating in a virtual meeting on the 13th with KDOT Aviation and Lochner, with the new director of KDOT Aviation, to talk about our upcoming airport improvement grant application and see what the best avenues as far as what our ask is. So stay tuned for the next council meeting. We'll have that on the agenda to approve that application that's due at the end of January. At the November of 2021 council meeting, a resolution was adopted to increase sewer rates incrementally over 5 years, and we had the 4th rate change that went into effect on the 1st. So you'll see those listed out. It's $1 more per month for residences, from $13.50 to $14.50 a month. And then also, per our 10-year contract with Knisely's, the trash rates went up. You'll remember that every 3 to 4 years, those go up over the 10-year period. So we were due for one of those increases, and that's $1 more. So for residential service, it went from $16 to $17. And then the next rate change won't happen until 2028. And then with my report, I've included just some bullet points. I went back through minutes and my reports over 2024 just to pull out some things that we accomplished over the year. I think it's good to go back and kind of review as we move forward into 2025 to see what we did over this last year. It's not a comprehensive list at all. There's a lot of day-to-day tasks that happened that I did not include, but these are just some things that were kind of highlights over the year. And then due to the weather delay, Knisely's didn't operate today, so they will be doing our trash service on Thursday, and it's recycling on the west side. And the next council meeting will be on Tuesday, January 21st, because of the Martin Luther King holiday, and then trash would also be on that Thursday of that week as well because of the Monday holiday. That's updates I have.
Questions for Stacy? Hearing no questions, do we have any governing body comments tonight? Hearing none of those, that's the end of our agenda, so we will adjourn the meeting. Thanks for your time, everybody. Easy 15.